Oh, okay. This is a show with no name. It's really the show with no name. If you want a show without a name, then this is a show with no name. Okay, that's it. All right, show's over. I'm sorry. It's the best we could do. Best we could do. You know, those people. Anyway, today is January 28th, 2014. I'm Bob Going with Gavin Murdoch and Phillip Tambasco, our special guest today, and Jim will be wandering in sooner or later. He's commiserating in the back room about things. Today is Gavin Murdoch's birthday. Happy birthday, Gavin.
Thank you, sir. And it's also the third anniversary of the show with no name under its present format.
That's true. We started the podcast 3 years ago today with a broadcast from the Europa on Forest Avenue. Our friend, the late Bobby O'Brien, was our George Fenneman for the show.
Yes.
You know what that means? No. Okay. Yeah, I think George Fenneman was a little before your time. George Fenneman was a straight man to Groucho Marx on his TV show. Pull up a chair, Jim. All right. So it's also, I should note, the birthday of our classmate, because Gavin and I were in a fourth and fifth combined class at one time. So even though we graduated in different years, we consider ourselves classmates. Our classmate Bruce Conover in
the Admiral,
San Diego, California, is celebrating his birthday today. He's 63 today. Yep, and he's not able to listen to the show because he's up in Santa Barbara helping clean out his Aunt Teresa's house, Teresa Conover. And in the course of doing so, he goes up there every few weeks and hauls more stuff out, and then shortly thereafter I get a package of stuff in the mail, including what you got on your lap here. So if you'll hand that back over to me. This is appropriate because we have as our special guest the Kid Wonder city historian, Mr. Phillip Tambasco, whose relatives keep telling me, let the kid talk. Let the kid talk. Would you please let the kid talk?
And he's still waiting.
And just hang on, because this is your introduction, okay? So I got all this stuff here, and I said, well, what am I going to do with all this stuff that Bruce Conover just sent me from San Diego? So I said, well, I got just the person for this. All kinds of history stuff. From old recorders. Here's one from 1976, the Amsterdam Evening Recorder Bicentennial Edition, and it's got all kinds of stuff about the history of Montgomery County and Amsterdam and all that. So that's yours.
You gotta get your mic level up.
What? Whose mic level? Mine?
Yeah, yours. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I'm not talking loud enough?
Seriously?
Oh. Wow. Okay. All right, and here's more. Here's more of that with the old maps and stuff. And let's see. Here's one about Uncle Sam's birthday celebration. One of these might have a picture of me in it raising the Liberty pole in Fonda. Okay. History of Auriesville. Okay. This is a different one. This is the 175th anniversary of Amsterdam. Much like we had the sesquicentennial and the subsequent bicentennial, this was the 175th. I guess they didn't know what to call that. And we talked about that before. It's the fake founding of Amsterdam in 1804, which, as far as we can tell, nothing actually happened in 1804. But it's got all kinds of stuff, including Chuckton-Under Street and the view from Brickyard Hill. Wow. Great stuff from a long time ago. Anyway, that ought to keep you busy for a while.
Yeah.
All right. Phillip, you've been running this Facebook page. You know you're from Amsterdam, New York. How's it coming?
It's going pretty good. Since the last time I was on here, I nearly doubled the amount of people that I have on here.
See, we have a wide range of audience listeners out there.
We do. What?
Turn his up.
Turn his up? Yeah, well, I had to turn Gavin down. See, that's the problem.
I'll move him back. That's all.
All right, move back, Gavin. You move forward, and then we're all set. They're on the same circuit. So, what's the question of the day?
The question of the day is that all the wards had an honor roll, and where was the honor roll in the ward?
Yeah. I can take a crack at most of them since I wrote about it in my book, but I actually don't know the answer to one of them, and I should because somewhere I've got a picture of all of them.
I have a picture of the 4th ward one, somewhere in here.
Well, you may think you have a picture of the 4th one. There are 2 4th ward.
Yes, it
honor
was. I knew
rolls.
that. And
Oh.
if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the one down in the East End.
Okay, that's right. That was in Cozzens Park.
He brought show and tell.
Yeah, I know. Well, we do have the camera here because his mother, emailed me at 2:00 in the morning and said, "Would you please make sure you videotape that?" 'Cause I can't- Yes, this appears to be it. It says 4th Ward on it.
It
That's
is
a
a
good.
postcard if you turn it around.
Wow. You know what? I may need to borrow this from you because I don't have a picture this good.
I found that in like an envelope that I found at my neighbor's, and I found that. And
Were you burglarizing your neighbor's house? No. Okay, just asking. Now that moved for 2 reasons. Do you know what the reasons were?
I believe it was vandalized, right?
Well, they were all vandalized. That's 3rd reason. Okay.
Oh,
One of the reasons was they tore up Cozzens Park to make room for the box factory
Yep.
down there, right? It used to be a big. It at one time was called Ross's Flats, and all the Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, and Buffalo Bill and his Wild West show all played down there. Then it became kind of developed as a park, and when we were kids, there were ball fields and tennis courts down there. I think we men played down there, right?
Prepley played down there.
Prepley.
We remember playing up at Hassan Foster's Field.
Okay. Okay, so that's number 2 reason. Number 3 reason is it was no longer in the 4th Ward. That section of town got moved to the 5th Ward.
Yeah, that did become the 5th ward.
Yeah. Okay.
So then they moved it up to the Roman Ave School, right?
Right. And Karl Krajewski, and I forget who the other guy was, and I should know this because the 2 of them did a great job not only making sure that memorial was built at the Roman Avenue School, but maintaining it over the years. And it's got the flags of the different nations that form the ethnic milieu of Amsterdam. Except for France, which is where the word milieu came from. Okay, how about the others? Jim, you live in the 3rd, well, what was the 6th Ward? You know where the 6th Ward Memorial was?
I believe it used to be where the park is now on Division Street.
The
And then
Saoirse part?
yeah, was it
Good guess, wrong.
wrong guess? Okay.
That's what I thought it was.
Okay, Gavin?
Couldn't venture, I guess.
It was in front of what's now Walt Martin's house, the old firehouse on Division Street.
Ah,
Oh, okay.
Right street. He's quiet. What can I tell you?
I don't recall it being there.
What's that?
I don't
Yeah.
recall it being there.
Well, because I think it's been gone a long, long time. A lot of the World War II memorials disappeared fairly early.
they didn't have the staying power.
Yeah. Of the original 8, only 1 exists in its more or less original form, and that's the one in the 5th Ward. It's actually been expanded and such, but the 4th Ward was moved. The 7th Ward is in the same spot. You know where that is? That still exists. It exists in a new format, but it still exists in the same spot.
Where was the 7th ward?
7th Ward was Park Hill and half of Brookside Avenue and going up Locust Avenue. So the 7th Ward Memorial is by Battisti's Restaurant on that
Oh, yeah, that's
on
still there.
the V where Belmont Place veers off. That is Belmont, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's still there, right? That's
Yeah.
I say it's still there in quotes because it was changed over the years. All of these memorials originally had the names of the guys who were serving in World War II with gold stars next to the ones who died. And over the years, those almost all disappeared. And now there's kind of a generic memorial at both the 7th Ward spot and the 8th Ward spot where the originals were. So the names are no longer there, but it honors all the veterans of all the wars from those wards. We got a call here. Let's see what. Are you listening? You got your earphones on, right? Okay. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
I think one of the war memorials
Yeah.
was located by the firehouse on the corner of Bunn and Academy Street. This is around in the 40s and 50s. But I don't think it's there anymore.
Bunn and Chestnut Street. You're right. That was the First Ward memorial, and that was still in existence into the 1960s when there was a picture in the paper that I found of it deteriorating, you know, the wood rotting and everything else, and they actually rebuilt it at that point. But okay, I guess I hung up. But at some point they took it down. All right, so now we got 1,
there was on
4,
Lion
5, and
Street.
7. Where?
There was on Lion Street. There was one.
And there still is.
Yep.
That was the 8th Ward.
8th.
And that's another one that originally had all the names on it. And when I'm preparing my book, Gavin came up with the dedication
Program for
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you happen to?
My grandfather was one of the ones who put that program together.
Oh,
That guy again. He was
Yeah.
always involved in something.
that's the other Gavin Murdoch. Good Gavin, they called him back in those days. Yeah. How old would your grandfather be today if he were alive?
How old would he be? 115.
Wow. Wow. And he served in the First World War?
Yes, he did. He served with the Canadian Engineers.
Okay. And was he living in Canada at that time?
No, he's living in Amsterdam, up in Harrowers.
So how did he happen to be in the Canadian
Because
service?
the U.S. wouldn't take him because he had served in the Home Guards in Scotland, and that disqualified him for some reason. So him,
What? He had too much experience?
yeah, and so him and a buddy went up to Canada through Buffalo and enlisted in the Engineers.
That sounds pretty outrageous to me.
It does, but
Especially when they were drafting everybody.
yeah, but I found his notice, and that's what it corresponds to. So that's what it was. Yep. And we had
Because he had previously served under a foreign flag, even though they were our allies.
perhaps, but that's what it was.
What did he do with the Scotland Home Guards?
Never been able to find that out. We did some checking over there, and he was only, let's see, 11. He was only about 20 when he served in the Home Guards, which was right before he came here in 1913. So, who knows what he did? But
Probably
they wouldn't take him.
Probably nothing, because there was no war going on at that point. He was too young for the Boer War, and
Yeah, he was probably just guarding the border in case English changed their mind. There's always that little issue with the English and the Scots.
okay. So we got 8, 7, 4, 1. Okay, that leaves
Third.
and 6. So we need 2 and 3. Wards 2 and now the second ward at that time was, well, kind of where it is today, but not as big. The third ward, the old third ward, was like half of Reed Hill, and it swooped down. They took in City Hall and downtown. Back then, there were a lot of people lived downtown.
That's right.
They lived over the stores. I got to tell you, that's the one I don't know the answer to. I don't know where it was, or where it might have been on the City Hall property, but I don't think it was. And I'm trying to think where else there might have been an appropriate public place for it.
Are you talking about the third?
The old Third Ward.
Yeah, probably somewhere near City Hall. That's like the only.
Yeah, but I
Reasonable.
don't think it was for some reason.
No, was the second ward on Forest Ave?
No, the second ward back then was Wall Street Hill and and the lower part of Market Hill. So, you don't know the answer? I do know the answer.
No,
It
I'm
is.
trying to figure it out.
You know why? Because Diane Hale Smith always told me about it because it was across the street from her house.
Oh
in
yeah,
front of
she put a picture of that.
That's
one.
right.
Yeah, yep.
In front of the Academy
Yep.
Street School. That's
Now
right.
I remember
and her
that.
father,
Yeah.
father's name was on it. Mm-hmm. That's right.
She put that picture up on my page, I think, or something.
So if anybody knows where the old Third Ward Memorial was, it's lost to history, and frankly, I looked pretty hard for it. You know, one night I got in the car and just drove around to see what was left around the city. You know, because I knew where they had been, but not too many.
No, there aren't.
Nope.
And the sad thing is that they didn't survive that long after the war. Most of them were put up in the middle of the war
Right.
to the end,
Right.
and then by the 60s they were,
Right. They were all put up in 1943, every one of them. Yeah.
and so they were done by 1960, mid 60s, so 20 years before they started to disappear.
Yeah. And you know, a number of them went without a whimper. That's you know, nobody, just one day they were gone, and you know.
Yep.
You know, the one at Chestnut Street, I should remember that. It was you know, that was in my neighborhood, but I don't, which means it went down pretty soon after we moved here. Wow. All right. Okay, I guess we solved that one.
Philip, in all your things you've posted over the last several months, which area, and I don't mean whether it's the bars or the restaurants or the flower shop, but what area of the city has been generating the most? You know, which section of the city has maintained its historical integrity more than others?
Well, downtown was mentioned a lot,
Yeah.
and so was when all the businesses went up on Route 30. That came up a lot. And so was the East End, but that's about it. Because a couple of the other sections, I mean, they mention Guy Park every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Then the South Side has some stuff, but like down below the middle school and all that, there's
Not much.
not much. They were talking about. I was talking about like the mom and pop stores.
Yeah.
They mentioned that was more numerous around the city. Overall, it's probably downtown or Route 30.
You know, zoning killed a lot of the mom and pop stores.
Oh yeah, it did. Took a lot of businesses out of.
Yeah, once they went out of business, you know, they were grandfathered in, but once they went out of business,
Couldn't get back in.
right? You drive around town and there's odd-looking homes on every block.
That's what I look for whenever I drive around, because there were just so many of them all over the place.
Yep.
I just wish I was around to see it all. That's why I started the page, just to imagine what it was like.
Well,
Have you been getting a lot of pictures
I've gotten more.
from other folks?
Yeah. Yes, I've gotten more, and they helped. Like, it was a lot of like family pictures, and I asked about when Fort Johnson had the skating rink.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of those pictures, like skating teams, and I got pictures of people like the one I mentioned before in front of the memorials.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, a lot of family pictures.
wow. All right, you got any recent questions that the folks without Facebook might want to chime in on here?
Well, should it be like I asked before? Do you want like an informative one or like a lot of?
No, whatever. You know, our
It's an open-ended question.
our people are entertained by anything. You know, it's 10 to 11 in the morning. You know.
Yeah. How about I don't know if it was mentioned before, but all the bakeries, because that was mentioned.
Bakeries, yes.
Oh.
Because
All right, call in, folks. 843-2500. Your favorite bakeries in days of old.
Villages on Glen Avenue.
Villages on Glen
They
Avenue.
had the best
Everything.
curlers in there. The cinnamon twist donuts.
Yeah.
They were outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
There was
Ate healthy then too.
Streeters on Streeters, I think, right on Market Street near Joe's Market. Mm-hmm. Yeah. My grandmother got in a brawl with Mrs. Streeter one time. Okay, it's a good story, but it's Philip's show. I'll tell it some other time. Let's see. Peps, of course. On
Yeah.
the south side.
Yeah.
Katina's?
That's right. That's right. Katina's. Gene Katina's father, right?
Where was that on West Main Street?
West Main Street, almost across from where Turo's gas station is.
Okay.
Let's see. They had them all over the place.
Isn't there Allen's Bakery?
Allen's Bakery up on the hill. Up on
What was the name?
Allen's.
Allen's.
On what hill?
Over near Grand Street.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Over near Grand Street in that area.
On Park Hill? Huh?
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to think of the street.
Wow.
I don't remember the street. I remember going there.
I want to say Milton. It was on somewhere around that
Could be.
area. Yeah.
Okay. In that area.
Gavin?
East Main Street.
We didn't have up on the Heights. There were no bakeries up on Henrietta Heights. So when I went to my grandparents, that's when I would go to Villages.
Yeah.
But we didn't. The Heights was all housing up there until you got up to Virgie's, which was up on which wasn't the bakery. It's just a little convenience store.
That was on Van Dyke.
It was on Van Dyke. That was a.
It was
that's
also
where we
outside
went.
the city limits.
Yeah, yes. It is.
Yes, it's just outside the city limits.
Outside, yeah.
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 Yes, it is. The city limits kind of run kitty corner and cut off a couple of houses there.
Oh yeah.
But don't forget, the golf course was not in the city until fairly recently.
Oh, until the 30s.
No, it wasn't in the city until the Villa administration. The golf course was part of the town of Amsterdam.
That was in the 80s.
Part
they
of it
added
was.
right?
part
Oh,
of it
most
was-
of it was in the town of
Yeah,
Amsterdam,
part of it was in the.
and half of what's now Shuttleworth Park was in the town of Amsterdam.
Right, I knew that.
We paid taxes to the town of Amsterdam for years on those properties. We paid school taxes. We paid county taxes.
It was in the 3rd Ward right up until a few years ago.
All right, let's see. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
How about the Federal Bakery?
Yes.
I think it was on Main Street.
What's the name?
Federal Bakery.
Yes. Okay, thank you. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Yeah, Village Bakery at first, when I went to school, was on Guy Park Avenue, right next to Roxy Cleaners on the corner wall in Guy Park.
No kidding. I remember.
I remember
I
that.
remember the
George
Roxy
Rogers
Cleaners. Yeah.
Drugstore.
I remember the
Yeah.
Roxy guys. I don't remember Villages being down there.
Well, that's before our time. This must be a real old timer. This must be somebody.
Yeah, I am. Thanks.
This must be somebody as old as Jim.
And you had 3 bakeries up there. You were talking about Allen's, S&D, and Belmont.
Belmont. Yes. I remember Belmont.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you. All right. Oh, lots of calls coming in. This is WCSS. You're on the air. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
How are you? Hey, listen, we know quite a bit about the history of Shuttleworth Park,
Yeah.
but what's the history of Veterans Field, the old Sanford Field?
Well, I think we'll yield to Gavin on this one.
Well, that was the center field for the community back then, and the big attraction there was the soccer field that Bigelow Weavers and Sanfords played there, because they were playing in a number of state leagues that were above their class, but they were always very competitive in there, and they used to get really good crowds. And of course, if you've read Bob Going's book, that
This is what we do.
the morning that the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, the team was playing against a team from New York City of Germans.
Yeah.
And following the game, they respectfully shook hands and walked off, knowing that perhaps next time they saw them or their brethren, to be on the field of battle.
Yeah.
And that was a
Who put the lights in? Did the city or did You know, and before the city took it over.
I think the city put those
Yeah.
in. Yeah, the Bigelow Sanford owned the field until they left town, and then turned it over to the city. You know, I was just reading a story about this. Oh no, Rick Partika was telling me his father was running for mayor in 1963, and the fields were mostly woods back then. You know, the lower part was all woods.
Yeah.
And he had his picture taken. This is going to be a fine recreational area for our kids if I get elected mayor. And if you vote for me, so people voted for him. He lost, and it became a fine recreation.
You know, if you remember, that field was surrounded by a wooden fence that was, 5 or 6 feet high, and you couldn't see in very well in most spots from the road. You had to be inside there. And they used to have the dugouts in there. They had the shed on the east end of the field where they would hold different events, and they have cookouts down there for the
They had
community.
the dance floor down there too.
Yeah, that was on the east end of the field. That was dance
I
floor was.
remember American Legion field days there when I was a kid, doing the sack races and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they would have.
They must have tore that down to put that short-lived basketball court in.
That was it was kind of fallen down even before they put that basketball court in the back.
The bottom part of the park, the pool on down, was developed in the mid '60s.
I remember all that.
Yeah, there was a lot of federal money came in at that point, and
they had a playground. The city had a playground there and all that stuff.
Right.
But it's just like really the park has fallen into ill repair. Other than the bottom part where they're putting in the Veterans Memorial with the pavers and all that.
Yeah.
The rest of the field is seldom used. The ballpark is, I don't know what they're doing up there.
Well, the softball field is now a soccer field, right?
Originally, that was one of the thoughts of doing that, but it didn't meet the needs of the soccer program up there, and it's all been landfilled in and covered up, but it's...
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a shame. That was a nice park.
Is it actually level now?
The upper part is, of course, I remember playing softball back there in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and it was always an adventure. The left fielder was right about foot level with the batter, and a line drive would be over the head of the left fielder.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't on the level.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. The Little Giants don't play there anymore.
No, they play over by Barclay. They have their own field.
This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Hi, Bob.
Hi.
Yeah, a little bit of background on Veterans Park.
Yep.
That you're both correct, and I believe the previous caller is correct. That park was established and built for the workers that worked at the mill.
That's right.
Right, and it was for recreational purposes to improve the morale of those that worked at the mill, maybe so a block or two up the street.
Yep.
Yeah, and rumor has it that the leveling of the field is being done to accommodate the reinstallation of softball field. So that's the best and the most that I know of it. And granted, I do know quite a bit about the memorial there. That's also.
Yes, I guess so.
There.
All right.
I would say I pretty know much first.
How solid is the rumor?
Well, I can't confirm it totally, but it's been talked about.
Okay. All right.
Been talked about.
Okay.
And, we did a lot of work. And I say we, there's a bunch of individuals that did a lot of work on that park and that field. I believe even starting in 2003, 2004, I believe a few city workers went in with some chainsaws and started to clear out around the pavilion.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
And that they basically spawned and spurred the whole activity of trying to revitalize that area in general.
Yeah, we had the Wednesday night movies there for a while too during the summer.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, which is a great location for that portable screen, because the natural hillside there was a nice, comfortable way to watch a movie.
Right. And I remember Joe Isabel being involved in it also when it first, in its baby stages. So, Yeah, there's the activities are starting to pick up there. Summer activities, I'm sure more of them can be elaborated by the recreation department. And so hey, just look at the way it was, compare it to the way it was 15 years ago to what it is now.
It's gotten a lot better.
There's always room for improvement because you've got a lot of area for improvement.
Yeah, and
so
we should
have a memorial there now, so people know something to signify that it was established for veterans.
Yep.
After the fact, and not only that, I would like some more information on this, but it was before my time. I was just a little boy, but was there ever going back and forth between the Vietnam veterans and the other veterans of the previous wars to who actually the park would be dedicated to? So generally speaking, it became a veterans park. It's not to dedicate it toward the Vietnam Memorial or
when the city took it over, which was probably in the early '60s. It was no longer Bigelow Sanford Field. They changed it at that point to Veterans Field, obviously for the reason to honor the veterans, and not just the current veterans, the future ones as well. Okay.
Very good. Thanks for the information.
Thank you.
I hope I provided the same.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Hello, good morning.
Hi.
I spent many hours at Veterans Park, and I was wondering if anybody remembers the pavilion that they had, the big dance pavilion. I guess it was called when they first built it, but it was an old wooden structure that had a wooden floor, and it was located where the basketball courts have now been put.
Okay.
Yeah, it's down in the east end,
At
part
Veterans
of the
Field.
field, yeah.
Ah.
And that was during the era when they built the so-called new pool. Remember, everyone called it the new pool for years and years.
Still do.
Yeah. So I just want. I know you guys were talking about the old parks, and I know we spent a lot of us spent a lot of time in these neighborhood parks, and I think just as a little side piece, I miss that look of the city when we had all these parks that were very active, and they had park directors in every neighborhood.
Let's face it, there
teams would play against each other in softball and baseball and different things. And
there were a lot more kids back then.
So I do remember that dance pavilion though, because we used to hang out in there when it was on a rainy day.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Now, Gavin, there was also a dance pavilion down at Harmansfield where you worked, right?
Yes, there was. It was
dancing
around.
used to be a big thing.
They could have neighborhood dances, and they'd have live bands.
All right.
Or performers down there at those, and it was on the when you walked in the field in Harmons, it's on the right hand side, midway down between there the road and where the old pool used to be.
Right.
Down there, and. When I worked there, it wasn't an active dance floor. It was all closed up in the late '60s, but it was still there. The pool area in the back was still there, though it was no longer used. But they still had the best jungle gym and best monkey bars in the city on that field.
And everybody says that. Yep. And that's the one thing I remember about Harmansfield. And terrific swings.
Oh, they were huge swings.
Huge swings. Yeah. The ropes had to be 20 feet long.
You could get up pretty high in those.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was a story that they used to tell us that some kids swung over all the way around
the bar?
and broke their back or something. But I always thought that was.
I don't think that's possible.
I think they tried that on MythBusters one time, and I don't think it was possible. But that was one of those stories that parents always told you.
Urban legend.
The urban legend. There was a kid who got.
Yeah.
Their kid who broke his back. Yeah. At Harmansfield.
Wasn't under my watch, so I'm all right.
But there were dozens of dance halls in the area. You met your wife at a dance hall, didn't you? Kroger Lake.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Remember
that one?
They had dances up there in the 60s and 70s.
Into the 90s, I think, or 80s anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Don Nikolsky used to play up there with his polka band. Yeah.
Freddie Kloop was there.
Yeah, Freddie Clute.
And every once in a while they'd bring in a big band.
Yeah.
10
Big
cents-
band as in famous.
10 cents a dance.
10 cents a dance. Huh?
That's what the girls charged you?
That's what you had to pay.
Oh, to get in. Oh, okay. All right.
Really? Wow.
You just go up there with $1 and you dance 10 dances and then you went home.
They still have dances? You're about the age, right?
Not like city, only like school. That's about it.
But they don't have them very often at school, though.
No.
It used to be Friday nights would be at the Columbian Center, and Saturday at St. Mary's or Bishop Scully.
Or at the high school.
Yeah.
And sometimes there'd be one both days
Yeah.
out there, yeah.
Yeah.
That was on the link that you posted of all the old pictures.
Yes.
I was going through it with my grandmother, and I was asking her what these buildings were. She said that was the Columbian dance
That's
hall.
right. They had a what we later called a disco ball.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. That was like every Friday night. Every Friday night. Yep. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Yeah, you're talking about Harmon's Field.
Yes.
Nobody mentioned the pool there. I think that pool is one of the greatest engineering feats I can ever remember. The creek flowed in one end and out the other.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
And it was always nice, clean water, fresh.
What they would do, I think, is they would dam it up during the day, and at night flush it out, and then fill it with fresh water before the next morning. So the water was relatively warm without having to chlorinate it. Much.
Yeah. Whoever dreamed that up, they were way ahead of their time.
Well, except that eventually they started actually measuring the
content,
the content of the water, and shut the place down.
I think the demise started when they had the polio scare and everybody stopped having the kids go to the pool because
but it was
polio.
but it closed after that. That was true with all pools that they were closing them. But what happened was, I think it was all the cow pastures up creek on the Bun Creek. The runoff was going into the creek and raising the coliform level. So
because that came right down through the Sanford farms. Yeah.
I remember back in mid-60s. Remember that drought we had in like 62 to 65? I mean, it didn't rain at all. There came a point where the Bun Creek actually dried up before it hit that pool, and went underground. It got about 100 feet from the cliff, and then just disappeared. It was all dry from that point on, and then there's a little cave along the back of the pool that the water came out of.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Bye.
All right. See? Phillip, you're not talking much, but you're getting a lot of information here.
Yeah. We've got a bag full of material here. I don't know what...
Yeah, what's this big map you got here?
Well, this is the map that I bought at the Book Hounds, and it's a map. I believe it's like that's what they wanted to make it. That was a proposed idea.
Yes, map of valuable lots belonging to the McFarland estate, known in real estate circles as the lunatic McFarlands.
Campus Heights?
Campus Heights. This is
Henrietta.
That's what I asked you about, and you were the only one that knew that.
I was the only one who
answer.
knew about Campus Circle. Yeah. But a lot of things I'm noticing here. This is my neighborhood. Amherst Place, that doesn't exist, right?
Pennsylvania's not there.
Pennsylvania Street went in the... Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no, I'm looking at it the wrong direction. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Let's turn this around. All right. Let's go north and south here.
And then Sophia isn't there.
Sophia Place doesn't exist except on... it hasn't been abandoned. The Wesleyan extension exists on paper, and Sophia Place runs out by Paul Tonko's house.
Mm-hmm.
There's Campus Circle. Where was...
No, this was a park at one time.
Oh, yeah?
That was that called St. Mary's?
Oh no, that was up here.
That was up here.
That was all. That was Mr. Isabel's house.
Yeah.
Here had St. Mary's. St. Mary's was going to rebuild the church and school up there at one point.
Okay.
That's why they bought that property, and then they kept it. They used it for football exercise and stuff.
So that's where football.
But it was
practice were.
but it was a city park for years.
You used to stop there with your snow cones.
Snow cone truck. That's right.
What was down here then?
Nothing. That never happened.
Okay.
I think they were trying to figure out a way to work stuff up onto that hillside.
Well, the city took most of the idea.
Well, what happened was the McFarland estate owned all this property that was Campus Heights, including the streets. Okay.
Yeah.
And over the years, my house was one of the first built in this project on George Street. And there were a couple old houses here and there. I don't know if it goes up.
It goes up to.
Yeah, it doesn't go up as far as Tremont and Wilkes because those were outside it. But what happened was, eventually they sold most of these lots out, and they were still paying the taxes on the rest. And they said, "The heck with it," because most of what they were paying taxes on were these paper streets or real streets.
That's what I was thinking.
So that's how the city ended up owning all this property.
Like all these names, I think they were selling them.
Yeah.
Or something. I was trying to figure it out the one day when I was looking at the map. And I see how they're labeled in blocks, and then there's like the block one section.
Right, and that's the way it would show up on the deeds. It would say block 1 or block A, lot 10, which is my back driveway. But it also has separate numbers out of 6, 8, 10. Like this is what the number of the street would have been.
But it's an interesting map because it was originally from 1903.
Right.
It was revised in the 20s, and then this is the copy of the original from the 50s. So
and this would have been about the time the city took it over on the land foreclosure.
And it wasn't until late 70s, 80s, and beyond that a lot of these lots actually began to have houses on, because I grew up on Fairmount, and this is just above us, and it was all fields. There's 1 or 2 houses right off the chapel in the back.
Yeah, I've seen a photograph of the side porch of my house where we do the podcast from time to time. And my predecessors in title were sitting on the porch steps. It's probably about 1920 or so. And you can see in the back, past the house, and it's nothing but vacant fields, not even trees. Just you can see vacant fields going all the way up to the golf course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. There's apple orchards at one time.
That's what you were saying.
Yeah, the McFarland apple orchards. Yeah, the McFarlands, almost all of them ended up in the lunatic asylum, and the deeds were all listed as conservator for so and so McFarland, lunatic. Yeah. I mean, we use the term lunatic in a comical sense these days, but in those days it actually, it actually had a meaning.
Now, do you know what one it was at? Like.
When were they lunatics?
Yeah.
I think they were already lunatics by that time, by 1903, because
Because I know that there's like a sanatorium or something.
Wow.
Or is that
in those days, they would send them to Utica. Yeah. We also, I think the infirmary was a tuberculosis sanatorium originally, wasn't it? And then it became the county home or poorhouse or something, and then it became.
I think you're right.
Then it became Mount Loretto. And,
yeah.
Okay. This is WCSS. You're on the air. Hello. Okay. I guess they don't want us. All right.
Too bad.
Okay. All right. So let's see. That covers Campus Heights. Yeah, we were talking about those neighborhood stores. There were 1 million of them. I don't.
Well, look on the corner of where Villages was, Ellerson's, Sammy Ferriello's, and up another block was where Costa Zero had the little place. So you had 4 stores and a block and a half.
Right.
You could do everything you needed to do for a week. in those places. Then once you got to Market Street, it was all crazy over there.
Everything, right?
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of it.
We had when I was growing up, of course, Joe's Market was the centerpiece of the neighborhood. But you also had Salamax up by Meadow Street. Around the corner, there was another one that Pete Duchesne ran for a while. He was a couple of different places, but I forget who had it before Pete Duchesne, and then it became an insurance place or something after that. I don't know.
Yeah, the liquor store in Meadow Street.
The liquor store in
somebody's
Meadow?
basement.
Yes, I've
Yeah,
heard that.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, Market Hill Liquors. They were on my paper route. 10 cent tip every week. They were good.
Yeah?
They were good customers. I also had the Bigelow Weavers Club and the Brookside Bar and Grill on my.
Really?
Oh yeah.
How were they?
Brookside Bar and Grill usually got a dime tip, but the Bigelow Weavers was the best because I got a dime tip and a Pepsi every week.
Plus a beer.
But not a beer. No, I was 12 years old, for crying out loud. 13.
Oh, you started late.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, West Main Street, there was how many stores? Neighborhood stores?
Oh yeah.
D'Amato's,
Greens.
Bertucci,
Yeah,
Rico had one.
It was just everywhere.
Everywhere.
On every
Yeah, yeah.
corner. there
That's it. There was a little grocery store, a meat store.
You had Shelley's right across the street.
Shelley's, of course, and what was that down on West Main Street?
Sansalone?
Sansalones. Those are God, the best sausage in town.
Yep.
Well, Joe's Markets was pretty good too. Yeah. Oh.
Now you got Salamac. He's still making sausage.
Still in business.
On Division Street. He's
Yeah.
got good sausage.
Yeah. All right. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Talking about stores on Union Street, there was the Keltis Market on the corner wall in Union, Tabasco's on the corner of Garden, A&P on the corner of Garden and Union, Barone's, and Belfance.
And what was that last one?
Belfance over by Brant Place.
Okay.
Little confectionery store.
Yeah.
Wow.
Barone's burned down.
Yep.
The one on the corner of Wall Street is still exists and as a residence, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I don't know about the one by Brant Place. Whether that's
that was when I was going to school. But you were talking that they up to Veterans Field too. The high school played football under the lights up there.
Oh
back
yeah.
in '49.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember going to see the game.
Well, I guess the lights are older than we thought. Okay.
Yeah, 1940. I forget who they played, but they played under the lights up there.
All
And we
right.
used to have the softball tournaments going, the quick tournament.
Yeah.
Had teams from
Fast
Connecticut
pitch.
all over.
Yeah, the Canadian teams
Yeah.
would come down. Yeah.
Yeah, the Canadians, they were terrific. They had terrific pitchers. Yep. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think of course Dan's Coffee House was a grocery store a couple of times before Dan had the coffee house on the
And the
corner
card shop.
corner of Chestnut and
There was a lot of meat markets in the city.
Yeah,
There was a lot of just stores you would go in and hang out, and a lot of places around.
well downtown I couldn't even count how many stores there were. You had Mohegan Market, you had Castler's. By the way, did you see those? We just got done talking about that was one of your questions. The three places that Castler's Market was.
Actually, I found a picture of Castler's when Brownies burnt down.
That's what I was going to say.
Castler's
Yes,
there
that was
when
that was
Brownies-
on that last batch of Mark Perfetti's photos.
Yeah, yes, it was.
And I had completely forgotten that they had moved up. So they couldn't have been on Reed Street very
a lot
long.
of people were questioning whether they were on Reed Street.
Yeah,
That's-
they were there only a short time because their old place was taken by urban renewal for phase one of the mall. They moved up to Reed Street and it promptly burned down when because it was next door to Brownies and the whole building went.
It was in the same building as Brownies, right?
Yeah.
Then it moved to where the Southside Food Company is.
That's right, where the Southside Food Company is today. And at that point, it had been Dantini's Southside Market for decades. Yeah. Well, you stumped me on that one, and then I saw the picture, and it all came back to me. Yeah, that's a big parking lot today.
Yep, it is.
What about the beverage companies?
They were all
the soda
over, too.
plants.
Fitzgerald's.
And Reading. Reading was
Reading,
someplace. Where was Reading's?
On the side street off of Main Street, Dean Street, up in that area. I don't know. the
Fitzgerald's was on Forbes Street, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Or was that Reading?
No.
That was Fitzgerald's.
Fitzgerald's.
Yeah.
But Reading was in that area, though.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Then they had the D'Amato's.
Oh, no, wasn't Reading down just outside the city limits on what's now Chapman Drive?
No, that was Fitzgerald.
That was Fitzgerald.
Yeah, you're right.
That was Fitzgerald. Then Reading must have been on Forbes
Yeah,
Street.
yeah.
Okay.
And D'Amato's on Gardner Street.
All right.
Famous soda.
And Bowler's Brewery at one time. Huh?
Yep, the brewery on West Main.
Yeah, that's still there.
You know, in during Prohibition,
Did that hit Amsterdam?
No, yes, yes, of course. Because it would have been wrong if otherwise.
They used to have speakeasies all over.
But please. my father-in-law used to go down to hang out at the New York Central Station and. Or probably the probably the Central Station. The passenger trains would come in, and somebody would have, a case of liquor hidden in their suitcase, and
He'd point him in the right direction.
His job was to carry it from the train station up to the old Antlers clubhouse on outside the city, Antlers Country Club, because Prohibition did not apply to the rich people.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's only the poor people. They were the problem. So anyway, I found some ads from the 1920s from places that you would recognize as former breweries, and they were selling in large quantities medicinal hops and yeast. It's great for your digestion.
Yeah.
This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing. How about the rum runners, as they used to call them?
Well, yes.
In Amsterdam.
I don't know who they were.
Well, I do, and some went on to be prominent businessmen. I wouldn't mention their names on the air, but it was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Some of them stayed in the business.
Yes. Yeah. I'm kind of trying to talk my way around that because some of them may be sponsors today, but yeah, I know what you're saying. I mentioned my father-in-law. He was just a kid
making a dime.
Making a dime. Yeah.
Yeah. Others went into just taking numbers. But some did stay in the business of alcohol.
Well, we did. Philip did do a thing on where were the gambling joints in town. And
it's so funny how people were.
Oh yeah, people are saying no, that can't be. But if there was one, it probably would have been. Right.
The term "rum runners" was that a local term or was that?
No. That was a national
nationally?
term. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember my father telling me about them. And always shaking his head when he thought about how successful they had become.
As a matter of fact, I was just reading about this island off the coast of Canada, a really small place that somehow, with all those wars between France and England, somehow France retained title to these couple of islands off of Nova Scotia somewheres, and they were nothing until Prohibition hit the United States, and all of a sudden they became the most popular spots because there was no Prohibition there, and they were, the Canadians weren't cracking down on them. The French could care less, and became the center for what were probably smuggling operations.
Ooh.
Yeah.
One thing also, you were talking about city pools, and I remember at the old Roman Avenue pool, in the absence of any showers or probably in any regulations for showers, they had a probably 2x2 little pan of Clorox that you'd have to walk through when you came into the pool.
Oh.
And I don't know if that was ordered by the health department or if that was just their way of chlorinating the water. But
I don't remember that. Yeah. We only went over there a couple of times because it was on the other end of town, but that was nice.
How about at Harmonsfield? They have that up there?
I don't remember
I don't know
the chlorine.
I don't know. The Harmonsfield pool was before my time.
I went there a couple of times, and I remember the water being extremely cold.
Well, it should be. It was spring-fed for the most part. Yeah.
Right. Okay, good memories.
All right.
Take it easy.
Thank you. Wow. We don't get calls on this show, Philip. And yesterday I was hearing from people all over the country how they couldn't wait to be tuning in.
To hear Philip listen to us.
That's right. Oh, well. Okay. So, let's see, the gambling joints, the neighborhood markets. Wow.
But the reason you had all these neighborhood markets was that, one, most people didn't have cars.
Right.
And you had to and Lam didn't have refrigerators, so you had to get everything fresh to take it home, consume it, and go again.
It was all within walking distance.
Absolutely.
Right around the corner of your house.
That's right.
5 stores.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
All right. Every little neighborhood.
See, and now you don't need a neighborhood because everybody's got a vehicle to get back and forth to go where they want to go to get what they want to get.
Mm-hmm.
But it's amazing how many of them were still in business well into our lifetimes.
Yeah. Well, in the 50s, everybody didn't have 2 cars in the garage.
No.
And all the grandmas and grandpas were still doing the walking.
Remember how packed the city buses used to be?
Oh, remember that the Hen Glen coming from St. Mary's up to
oh my God!
All those poor old people that rode the bus with us. It was
it was tough. It was really shoehorn city, and then then you try to signal that you want to get off at the next corner, and you couldn't even reach it.
Yeah. Bill Stanley used to drive the bus for us.
Yeah. Jack Davy, old Jack Davy.
Yeah.
The only grocery store neighborhood grocery store left is Sansalone's on Division Street.
The Salmex.
Yeah, did I say Sans?
Yeah, Salmex. I think it is. It's Joe's Market is reopened recently under new ownership, but they've been closed for years. I'm trying to think of there's any left other than that, other than Salmex.
Bricks or Burks or whatever the name was, they closed up a year or so ago.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're the only ones left. And he's got very good sausage, and he's got very good Italian cheese.
There you go. All right. Okay, we're down to the last minute or so of the show. Philip, what do you got anything planned for the next?
What's your next question?
Next question.
Give us a head start.
Yeah.
Next question, though. I'll probably be out of those that you just gave me.
I was going to give him the Donlin book today, and I said no. His head will explode if I give him the Donlin book. Maybe next time. So when's your next vacation? Easter week or?
No, I have one in February.
February. Okay. Well, let me know. We'll schedule you in. Okay. And I'd like to thank the school board for letting Philip out of school today.
There's no school today for the high school.
There's no school.
No, unless you have a regents exam at the high school, you're not in school this week. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be stopping up there right after the show too. So we'll check see how things are at the high school.
All right. We'll be doing the podcast on Friday. Be back again next Tuesday. I'm Bob Going with Phillip Tambasco, our special guest host today, and Jim Nicosia and Gavin Murdoch. Anything else you'd like to say? No, he's just shaking his head. Yeah, this is audio. Never mind the video. All right, so we'll be back next week with more of the show with No Name.